Welcome to the League of Nerds comic book segment number 65. I'm John Cooney here to talk to you about comics released the 1st of May 2013. Beginning as usual with my first 5, meaning these are the first 5 books I intend to read this week, and I'll give a little more depth on them, starting at number 1 with Superior Spider-Man number 9. It ends here, Superior no more. The hottest comic in comics comes to a turning point that will get you angrier than you were after Spidey 700. The time has come to see who will live, who will die, and who will emerge as the one true Superior Spider-Man. Now personally, I don't know what kind of marketing strategy it is for Marvel to try and one-up the anger level of your fans, particularly after Dan Slott received death threats in reaction to Amazing Spider-Man number 700. But Dan has referred to Superior Spider-Man number 9 as a crucial game-changing issue on several occasions. Here he is at the London Super Comic Con.
You have, some part of Peter Parker is still in there somewhere. He's still, fighting his way through. Because, I almost gave things away. No, you're gonna have to.
Oh, come on!
You're gonna have to read Superior Spider-Man number 9.
Oh, number 9.
Number 9. It's coming up.
It's a key issue.
It's a game changer.
It's again.
Yes.
Wow.
Something really big happens in Superior 9, and let me tell you, sitting in the Marvel retreats, there are a lot of bigwigs at Marvel who went, "What? No, no." So, when even you get to a certain level of certain guys, when they're acting like fans, when they're going "Wait," then you know you're in a good zone.
You're onto something.
Yeah.
At number 2, we've got Age of Ultron number 7. In an attempt to defeat Ultron, 2 Marvel heroes take it upon themselves to create an all-new Marvel Universe. But is the one they've created better or worse than the one they left behind? The event of the year just got insane. Brian Michael Bendis explained the decisions we saw in Age of Ultron number 6. Quote, "Other stories have teased going to a place like this. The grand old, if you go back in time and kill Hitler, would you? Yes, Hank Pym is not Hitler, but it's that type of decision-making process. And then it begets the question that many people are going to ask, well, why don't you go back in time and do this? And why don't they go back in time and do that? Now you're going to find out exactly why. And Tony Stark may have known, and Reed Richards may have known. Wolverine didn't care. I know there'll be some who enjoy it immensely and others who will have a big problem with it, and others still who look at a story like this very pragmatically without putting any of the emotion into it. You gotta put it in Wolverine's head and Sue Storm's head, what they've seen, what they've felt, what's really happened to them. That's why we spent so much time in the Age of Ultron world, so you can really feel it's over. There's no way out, and everyone's gone. Now we're here, and this horrible thing that normally Sue Storm particularly would never do, it would never happen, except there's no other way." Close quote. He went on to discuss the butterfly effect. Quote, "You take one Avenger out of the Avengers equation and look at the spiral. Without Hank Pym, there's no Ultron, then there's no Vision, and there's no Jocasta, and there's no marriage to Jan, and all the other things that he's touched and done and invented over the course of the Marvel Universe. We made this giant list of things that would not have happened if Hank Pym wasn't around. From there, I got to make a creative decision. Here's the big stuff, but what would be missing from the Marvel Universe? However many years it is from this moment to the present day, what would be the shift? And that shift was fun to come up with as well." Close quote. At number 3, we've got X-Factor number 255. Hell on Earth War comes to its senses-shattering conclusion. One Hell-Lord stands victorious as the Earth is consumed in fire and brimstone. The few remaining members of X-Factor make one last-ditch effort to save the world from its grim future. Not all will survive the final battle, and the last person you would expect winds up sitting on the throne of Hell. In Peter David X-Factor news, it was announced at C2E2 last weekend that Peter David's epic run on X-Factor will come to conclusion with the end of X-Factor, a story kicking off with June's issue 257 and concluding in September with 262. Peter David says, quote, "It just seemed the right time. The Hell on Earth war was so huge that it was as if everything I'd been doing had led up to it. When you reached a dramatic natural climax, that's the place to stop." Close quote. As for the remaining issues, David says, quote, "It'll be a series of one-issue stories, each focusing on 1 or 2 characters, trying to give each of them a decent conclusion." Close quote. David said elsewhere, quote, "I wanted to do stories that came after Hell on Earth and focused on each of the individual characters in different ways. It was kind of a personal challenge, really, producing half a dozen individual stories, since one-issue stories seem so unusual these days." Close quote. And while this will wrap up David's work on X-Factor, we've been assured that it's not the conclusion of his work with Marvel, and though they have not provided details, David says, quote, "I hope you'll all be there for it." Close quote. I know I will. At number 4, we've got All-New X-Men number 11. One of the All-New X-Men leaves to join Cyclops and his crew. Jean Grey pushes her powers to the limit, shaking her and the rest of the X-Men to the core. Marvel's editor-in-chief spoke last week about the work Brian Michael Bendis has done in the past with Avengers compared to his work now with the X-Men. Quote, "The Avengers and the X-Men are both team books, but they're very different dynamics driving each. The Avengers are linked by circumstance and choice. They choose to be an army. The X-Men are linked by circumstances and genetics. They're blood-related of a sort, whether they want to be or not. All the best X-Men writers mine gold in that distinction, so it's no surprise to me that Brian, who excels at writing young characters that are searching for a place in the world, a community to call their own, is doing that now in All New X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. Brian inherited an X-Men universe transformed by the events of Avengers vs. X-Men, one that wasn't defined by the competing philosophies of Xavier or Magneto debate, but those of Wolverine and Cyclops, and onto that stage appears 5 young X-Men stranded in time. That's fascinating stuff. What Brian has managed to do is cut against the grain of expectation at every turn. He understood that each character has to forge his or her own path, that they're individuals whose choice will reflect that. Who is right, Wolverine or Cyclops? Is there a third path? Keep reading." Close quote. And at number 5, we've got Thanos Rising number 2. The rise of Marvel's greatest evil continues by 2 of the most acclaimed creators in comics, continuing the jaw-dropping origin of the Mad Titan who will soon change the face of the galaxy. Death follows young Thanos as his inner darkness grows. Series writer Jason Aaron explained, quote, "A lot of people are talking about Thanos these days, with him popping up in the Avengers movie and with him playing a big role in Marvel's Infinity event later this year. But probably not a lot of people can tell you Thanos' origin. So this is a story for fans new and old, and it'll have dark surprises for both." Close quote. He also said, quote, "It'll be up to the reader how sympathetic you find the guy. I think there's something there to sympathize with, especially when he's a kid. But Thanos also does some pretty horrible things along the way, so you may suffer a bit for that sympathy. There's a great bit in Manhunter which I would rank as my all-time favorite serial killer movie. Subquote, "My heart bleeds for him. As a child, someone took a kid and manufactured a monster. At the same time, as an adult, he's irredeemable. He butchers whole families to pursue trivial fantasies. As an adult, someone should blow the sick out of his socks." End subquote and end quote. Aaron referred to this week's issue specifically when speaking of Thanos' mother, saying, quote, "She plays a pivotal role for Thanos in a couple of ways. One, of course, is that birth scene, which takes a rather weird turn. And then there's the scene that comes at the end of issue 2, which you'll just have to wait and see for yourself." Close quote. Rounding out the top 10 at number 6, we've got from Image Comics Invincible Universe number 2. Cecil Stedman's bargain with Mr. Liu has taken a turn for the worst, and now the greatest heroes of the Invincible Universe must defeat the Dragon Unleashed, but who will pay the cost for Cecil's choice? At number 7 from Dark Horse, we've got Michael Avon Oeming's The Victories number 1 of 5. Following the Jackals' face-off with Faustus and an attack on the U.S. infrastructure, the Victories face a plague of new evils threatening their city. Who is trying to destroy our nation? Can the Victories overcome their own spiritual demons to keep the team together and save the world? This is a new ongoing series. Brian Michael Bendis says, quote, "If you like powers, you'll love the Victories." Close quote. Number 8 from Image, we've got 10 Grand number 1 by J. Michael Straczynski. Joe Fitzgerald was a mob enforcer until the day he met Laura, who convinced him to leave that world behind. Before quitting, Joe agreed to one last job, little realizing that the man he'd been sent to kill was deeply involved in demonology. He survived Joe's attempt and came after him, fatally wounding Joe and killing Laura. As he lay dying, an angelic force, who may or may not be what she appears, pointed out that where she is going, he can't follow, and where he is going, he wouldn't want her to follow. But if he'll agree to work for them as a different kind of enforcer, they will bring him to life and keep on bringing him to life every time he's killed in a righteous cause. The reward? For those 5 minutes of death, he'll be with Laura again. Would you endure an eternity of pain and death, dying over and over to be with the woman you love for just 5 minutes each time you died? Most people might say no, but Joe Fitzgerald isn't most people. At number 9 from Boom Studios, we've got Hypernaturals number 11, the penultimate issue. As Thinkwell contemplates making the ultimate sacrifice, the Hypernaturals rally, along with the help of their greatest enemy, Sublime, to try to save the universe as they know it, be it with the Continuum's help or not. And at number 10, we've got Harbinger Wars number 2 of 4. The Harbinger Wars heat up Las Vegas. After decades of secret conflict, Toyo Harada has managed in one fell swoop to cripple Project Rising's spirit through the masterful manipulation of key players in the Valiant universe. Now he wants the Syat children, Bloodsport, rescued from the bowels of a nightmarish PRS facility. Too bad. This rogue band of superpowered escapees have begun to call themselves Generation Zero, and they've declared a war of their own. First strike, Vegas, baby. And while PRS fashions a radical plan for getting the kids back, Peter Stanchak and the Renegades are following Visions right into the heart of the Harbinger Wars. For the best of the rest from DC Comics, we've got Action Comics number 20. Superman battles an enemy of his own making in the horrible Hybrid, but what else does Lex Luthor have in store for the Man of Steel and the people of Metropolis? Get set to learn some of the secrets behind Luthor's role in the New 52. We've also got Animal Man number 20. The battle against the Rot has left Buddy's family in ruins, and now they must withstand another force trying to subvert him, his own celebrity. Next, we've got Aquaman number 19. The Ice King takes the throne as the true king of Atlantis, but who will be the first to kneel before him? Next, we've got Detective Comics number 20. The superhuman transformation of Ignatius Ogilvy is just the tip of the iceberg when an extremely unexpected character comes to the Penguin's aid. We've also got Earth 2 number 12. The drums of war begin to sound as the heroes of Earth 2 rally behind Dr. Fate, and a threat from Apocalypse becomes all too real. We've got a new title, Movement number 1. We are faceless, we are limitless, we see all, and we do not forgive. Who defends the powerless against the greedy and the corrupt? Who protects the homeless and poverty-stricken from those who would prey upon them in the dark of night? When those who are sworn to protect us abuse their power, when toxic government calls down superhuman lackeys to force order upon the populace, finally there's a force, a citizen's army to push back. Let those who abuse the system know this as well. We have our own superhumans now. They are not afraid of your badges or leagues, and they will not be silenced. We are your neighbors, we are your co-workers, and we are your children. Next, we've got Phantom Stranger number 8. The Phantom Stranger investigates his past and is quickly reminded of the price he must pay for being part of the Trinity of Sin. And we've got World's Finest number 12. As Power Girl returns to her classic look, Desaad wreaks havoc on her tech empire, and Power Girl and Huntress find themselves hunted by the talented torturer from Apocalypse. From Marvel Comics, we've got Hawkeye number 10. The most acclaimed new book of the year continues. Who pulled the trigger? Where have you seen him before? Have you seen him before? Maybe, but not like this. It's murder, mayhem, and grease paint makeup for the money, kids. And that means playtime is over, Monsieur Hulot. Caw, caw. Whatever that means. Next, we've got Indestructible Hulk number 7. Gods and Monsters continues, featuring Thor. Hulk and Thor together versus the Frost Giants. But what's wrong with Thor, and why doesn't he recognize Hulk? And Bruce Banner lands a bombshell surprise on his assistants. We've also got Iron Man number 258.1. Michelini, Leighton, two voices that defined Iron Man come together to tell the untold tale of his most dire hour, Armor Wars 2. We've also got Iron Man number 9, The Secret Origins of Tony Stark. Death's Head and Iron Man team up to hunt down a genocidal criminal, not the problem. A ship full of dead Badoon, not the problem. Next, we've got Ultimate Comics X-Men number 26. Natural Resources continues, Fortress Utopia. The mutant nation is under siege, and General Ross is leading the charge. And we've got X-Men Legacy number 10, fated to destroy mutant kind. Legion is desperate to learn if the predictions are true, so he makes a deal with the devil in his own mind to find answers. But what terrifying truth would drive David to take extreme measures and undergo a procedure that would remove his mutant powers? From Dynamite Entertainment, we've got Kevin Smith's The Bionic Man number 19. After fighting his way into the heart of enemy territory, the Bionic Man is forced to go deep undercover. Once there, Steve positions himself to not only complete his mission, but to help the war-torn country of Labu in the process. Little does he know that a new player has entered the game, and they have the United States in the crosshairs. And we got Miss Fury number 2, transported through time to 2013. The original pulp heroine is tasked with hunting down cloaked Nazi secret agents in modern-day Washington. But as she suffers even worsening mental flashes back to 1940s and to war-ravaged future, Miss Fury is forced to question her own sanity. Is any of this real? What are the giant triangular craft hovering over the future Manhattan? And is the man she's supposed to assassinate really a Nazi agent, or is this just murder? From Image Comics, we've got Snapshot number 4 of 4. Conclusion, it all ends here as the awful truth behind the multi-million-dollar conspiracy is revealed, with deadly consequences. If young Jake is to survive, what kind of man must he become? And is it worth the price? Out in trades this week, we've got Cable and X-Force Volume 1, Wanted trade paperback. Cable is back, with a new X-Force at his side, he must tackle the threats nobody else can know about, even if it makes him and his team public enemy number one. Just who are Cable's new recruits? Where has Colossus been since Avengers vs. X-Men? And what's wrong with his powers? What will happen when Cable faces his foster daughter Hope, the savior of AVX? And most important, why is the new X-Force attacking a civilian company? Caught red-handed in the scene of a terrorist attack on a major American corporation whose CEO has expressed anti-mutant views, the members of X-Force find themselves branded criminals and on the run, with none other than the uncanny Avengers in hot pursuit. There's no going back now. Collecting Cable and X-Force number 1 through 5 and material from Marvel Now .1 number 1. And from DC we've got Girl with the Dragon Tattoo Volume 2 hardcover. Vertigo presents the concluding volume of the official graphic novel adaptation of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. In Book 2, the mystery of Harriet Wagner's disappearance deepens as crusading journalist Mikhail Blomkvist and the indomitable Lisbeth Salander join forces to crack the decades-old case. Together they uncover a twisted secret that may end up costing them their lives. Don't miss the gripping conclusion to one of the most thrilling books of all time. Okay, so that's just a few of my favorite books out this week. There's still plenty of others available. And I broke out all the Marvel titles this week in their own video, as well as a separate video for all of DC, and even a video with all the top independent publishers. You can find them all on my YouTube channel at he'sgotissues.com. And we'll also have links up on the leagueofnerds.com, our Facebook page, so be sure to like us there too. Of course, you can follow everything I'm reading on Facebook, Pinterest, or Twitter. You can find links to everything at he'sgotissues.com. And don't forget, Free Comic Book Day is this Saturday, May 4th, so watch for a new video this weekend for that. And a reminder that both He's Got Issues and the League of Nerds are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So until Free Comic Book Day, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.